Several years ago, we jumped onto the theme of taking care of business. And in order to take care of business, one of the things we've looked at is that we need to take care of our customers, we need to take care of the financial side of things, but we also need to take care of our employees. And one of the things we really looked at and said, what do we want to hone in on, is we wanted to hone in on the benefit side of things. And so we did some research, and we came across a white paper that was put out by Harvard Business Review just recently that talked about what are some of the 10 best practices that great companies do in regard to benefits. And as we looked at it, it was actually a research report that was asked, the Principal Financial Group asked to have done. So we've asked somebody from Principal Financial Group this afternoon to take some questions from us that we've put together for them in regard to what is happening out there with the great companies as it relates to getting the benefit out of our benefits, and what are some of the creative things that organizations are doing to keep their employees. So introduce Johnny Severson. John Severson, he's ABI board member and ABI advisory council member from Severson, Strege and Company and its sister company Transition Point. They have more than 39 years experience in financial services and planning, and he will introduce the representative from Principal. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Todd. Good afternoon. My name is John Severson. I'm with Transition Point Business Advisors in West Des Moines. As Todd mentioned, I'm proud to be an ABI board member as well as our firm serving on the advisory council for ABI. So it's my pleasure today to introduce to you AmyFriedrich of Principal Financial Group. She's going to discuss a new study from the Harvard Business Review which focused on the winners of Principal's 10 best companies for employee benefits from the past decade. Amy is Vice President at Principal Financial Group. She manages the Specialty Benefits Division and has responsibilities for all the group dental, vision, life, and disability products. Amy grew up in Iowa. Left to work with a consulting firm in Chicago, but came back to raise her family in Iowa in the year 2000 when she joined Principal. So would you please welcome AmyFriedrich to ABI.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks much. Oh, got it. Okay, so here's what I know, the things I know. I'm standing between you and the end of the day. I have a high risk of sounding like an infomercial up here, and Sarah was pretty darn inspirational, so nice job. I actually have 2 kids, 7 and 10, and the things that you said to me about reinforcing getting the A's, getting the pluses, getting the checks, and kind of that intentional, meaningful building of that were really meaningful to me. So thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the opportunity, and I know other people in the group probably did as well. I think I'll turn it back over. You were going to lob a softball question at me, is that right?
I was going to lob some softball questions to you
Excellent.
first. First of all, tell us a little bit about why Principal wanted to do the research survey, and then let's get right to it. What did you find out? What were some of the big things that you found out?
One of the things Principal does in terms of recognition is something that they've called the Principal 10 Best. You don't have to have products with Principal. You do have to be a small or medium-sized business. So what we found is there was a whole lot of recognition out there for large businesses. Huge companies that have a very big footprint in the industry get a lot of play in terms of what they're doing for benefits. But those smaller companies that employ 22 people, 50 people, 80 people, we're not necessarily getting recognition. So 10 years ago, we started a recognition of those companies that have the best set of benefits. So what this is a study of 10 years, 100 companies, and really we stepped back from the data and asked Harvard Business Review Analytic Services to say, is there anything there that could help people?
Okay,
so that's what it was.
So what were the things that they found out?
Okay, let me focus on a couple things. And I want to just talk about a few things. There's several things we could talk about here, but one of the first things I want to talk about is intentionality. What these companies do better than other companies is they understand that the benefits they make a commitment to build culture. So whether you want them to or not, the benefits you're providing speak to your employee base. So one of the owners of one of the businesses, and I actually get the opportunity to go around and deliver some of the Principal 10 Best Awards when we give them, said to me, you know, I always used to tell myself, I'm going to wait until I retire and then I'm going to do all this great work. I'm going to do like mission work. I'm going to have a mission when I retire. And he said, you know, it occurred to me about halfway through my career that maybe my mission could be right here as a business owner with the employees I'm talking to right now, and I would actually go out and start talking to them about what they want in terms of work perks, benefits, things that would make their life easier and better. So one of the things, if you hear nothing else, is these companies are very connected to their employees, and they're very committed to intentionally putting a set of benefits on there. Sometimes they're not the best benefits in every category, but they know where they want to be best and where they're totally fine with being in the average, being in with the pack.
Okay. One of the things, I had an opportunity to look at the white paper, and one of the things that I thought was very interesting was the creative approach to benefits. In a lot of cases, they were benefits that didn't cost any money.
It's exactly right, or very little money.
Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, a great example would be there are folks, and again, this comes back to how they communicate with their employees. They end up talking to their employees in coordination with their performance reviews about what things they could do differently. Several of their employees, and this is actually in Boston, it's a company that does a lot of, they're very an eco-friendly company. A lot of people ride their bikes to work. Several of their employees mentioned, I worry about my bike while I'm at work because I have to park it 2.5 blocks away, and I worry that it's going to get stolen. They rolled out, as part of the next year's benefit package, that you can bring your bike in and set it up inside or next to your desk if you want to. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. It was a hit. Scores on that year's survey, and there's only 90 people who work there, went way up on the portion of the population that worries about things like their bike or I want 2 microwaves in the break room. Now, the top 3 executives in that company wanted a non-qualified deferred comp plan, but the mass of the employees wanted their break room to look nicer, wanted 2 microwaves, and wanted their bikes to sit by them at work. That's what those companies do, though. They listen to that, and then they integrate it to the extent possible.
Okay, so you're talking about, so one thing is intentionality, being very intentional in what you're trying to do, being creative. What else did you find?
Yep. Well, I'm going to flip over to some kind of hard benefits that we found in here. And really, this is kind of the study found this, that if you looked at the 100 companies that had gotten this award and went through this latest economic crisis, there should be 80 of them still in business because these are small businesses. So if you use just the general economic statistics domestically, there should have been 80 of these at the end of this 10 years still in business, and there were 98 of them in business. There should have been a turnover on average against their peer companies of about 21%, and these companies had a voluntary turnover of about 9%. So what they also found in terms of the study was that the economic payoff, the economic benefits, are pretty incredible for these companies. And again, that's not necessarily why these companies were putting these benefits in place, but what they were getting as a return was a more stable workforce, less turnover, and they were staying in business.
If I remember correctly, the report talked a little bit about customer satisfaction as well.
Right.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, what they find is, and that kind of links with the less turnover. So you have greater organizational knowledge, and you have that greater organizational knowledge translates into people who really have the ability to provide customer service better because they know the company and they know the services better. So they've ended up getting things like safety, higher quality, and higher safety ratings. And some of the employers, some of the business owners would say, I had no idea when I put these benefits in place that it was going to give me something like an increase in my safety or quality records.
Okay.
So they were, as surprised by some of it as the other ones.
Okay. You mentioned a company in Boston and some things. What about Iowa companies?
Yep. Well, let me go through. I want to mention a few. Of the 100 companies over the last 10 years, 9 of them have been from Iowa. I don't know if I have any representatives from any of these companies, but in the room. But 9 of them have been from Iowa. They range from 22 employees to almost 800 employees. And I would say those implications when we think about the Iowa companies, and I want to just flip over to that. is that what we're finding in Iowa, and you actually asked me this question, so I knew you were gonna, ask me this question, and it's a really good one for this audience. What we know about benefits design for Iowa companies uniquely is that often the dual wage earners, so often if there are two parents in the household, both of them are working. Iowa is consistently one of the top 2 states who has dual wage earners. So what that means is benefit design, things like helping them coordinate after school care, giving them an allowance towards watching their children, making sure that you're really creative about flexible work time and flexible work patterns tends to be really popular and differentiating for Iowa for this unique workforce. So that's an example how these Iowa companies have accommodated something differently on their benefits design.
Over 3/4 of the companies in the survey, if I remember correctly, put in some kind of a wellness program.
Yep.
And we hear wellness all the time.
Yep.
From everybody now. How do you define a wellness program?
Anything. How do you define a wellness program? Is anything that your employees value that keeps their physical and financial fitness at a better state than it was before. So some wellness programs is I'm going to give you a discount on local gyms. Some of the wellness programs are I'm going to bring a massage therapist in once a month for a health fair, and I'm going to give you access to that massage therapist. Some of the other companies will do like acupuncture treatments, whatever the case may be. The point is they went to their population, they went to their employees, and they said, what would you value? What would help you manage stress? What would help you manage some of your long-term issues with your health? And then they put incentives in to support those, or sometimes fully supported them.
Okay. So as we wrap up, if you were going to suggest to the leaders and some of the human resource representatives in the audience here, what are the 1 or 2 things that you would tell them to focus on in order to try to make it onto that list?
Talk to
themselves?
Your employees. It's not it's not spend more money. It is talk to your employees. Ask them what they value. If they are not worried about their bike getting stolen or standing in line for 10 minutes at the one microwave, they're gonna be more productive. And it sounds crazy. I know people think I'm gonna get up here and say, oh, you need a dental benefit that has, yeah, make that decision. If it's important to them, listen to them. So listen to what your employees tell you would be the number 1 thing, and be intentional about the design you're putting in place, because whether you like it or not, your benefit structure says a lot about your corporate culture, whether you like it or not.
All right, very good.
Yep.
Let's give Amy a hand.
Thanks, you guys.